Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Channel Shot of Moses. I'm your host Moses, and today I wanted to ask you guys a question. Which do you think is better, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood or the original? Well, the answer may not shock you. It is Brotherhood. But what I wanted to actually really talk about was why this show has seemed to have fallen off in the anime community. I think it's really interesting. And this is a question that I guess not really many people ask anymore, because I guess at this point I'm just old and these are all old shows, and Brotherhood came out like 12 years ago at this point. So, but still, I actually just happened to rewatch Brotherhood in the background, of course. I've seen it like 5 times. And then right after that I was curious and I wanted to watch the original. Well, the problem with that is if you want to watch the original, as of right now, you need it either on Blu-ray. Yeah, I think you just need it on Blu-ray. I don't actually think you can stream it anywhere. I happen to have owned it on Blu-ray already from like 5 years ago at a convention, so it was a throwback changing discs, but still, I did watch all of it. And I liked this show as much as I remember, and I was actually pretty happy about that. I was really kind of dreading rewatching it after seeing Brotherhood so many times, because I thought that I would start to agree with everyone and say, wow, maybe this show isn't as great as I remember. Maybe Brotherhood made the original irrelevant. And I actually don't think that's the case. I think the shows are just very different, and I think there's definitely a place for the original Fullmetal Alchemist. Now, the original Fullmetal Alchemist, if you don't know, quick synopsis on why there are two, is essentially they ran out of material from the manga. So while they were adapting it, the show caught up extremely quickly, so they just started making stuff up. But this was different. They actually made their own story after they kind of caught up to where they were in the manga, and the story just went bonkers off the rails in ways that, honestly, if you think you remember, I don't think you remember the Nazis showing up in your Fullmetal Alchemist. This show is absolutely insane, and I still kind of like it. But I actually thought there were about, I don't know, 1 or 2 real big differences that makes me really like this show a lot more. And the first thing I want to talk about are the obvious changes, or is the obvious big change in the show, and that are the homunculi. So if anyone saw Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood around the time it came out, you saw a lot of people calling the homunculus by the wrong names, and that's because they are different in this one. I think there's technically 4 differences. I could have the number wrong, but I'm not going to name them all. I'm just going to put them on the screen somewhere, so here, I don't know, you'll see them. But you'll see the difference in the homunculi, and there are 2 new ones that you've never seen in the original. There's also another one you haven't seen in Brotherhood, but let's talk about the original really quick. The first one you see that's different is Sloth, and the second one that you see is different is Wrath. Now, I am not necessarily saying I like either of them better than their Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood counterparts, but I actually like why the homunculus exists much better. Now, I do think that it comes full circle much better in Brotherhood because it was completely planned out, and I completely understand that Father wanted to shed himself from the 7 deadly sins of the world, and I like that. But I love the fact that in the original Fullmetal Alchemist, the way the homunculi are created are by failed transmutations of humans, and they kind of try to confront the people that were close to them. Like, you know, you see Sloth, who's really Edenal's mother. You see Lust, which is Scar's brother's wife or girlfriend. Like, I kind of like that a lot. I like the fact that the reason that they're there is because of the failed transmutations. I just happen to like that better. I thought it helped with the characters' motivations a bit more. Everything felt really personal when they were confronting the homunculi. Homunculi? Homunculus. Anyway, they just felt a bit more personal in the original one. The fact that the protagonists had to confront their pasts, I actually liked quite a bit more than them just fighting random enemies from Father. For instance, let's take Azumi Curtis. Azumi has to confront her child that was sacrificed or that she tried to bring back to life for performing human transmutation. She has to confront him, and that's Wrath. And to add an extra twist to it, he has Ed's limbs, and Ed immediately loses it, and Azumi realizes he's evil and needs to kill it, but Azumi can't bring herself to do it. That, honestly, she had more character growth and development, in my opinion, in this first one than all of Brotherhood. Because in Brotherhood, she's funny, she's great, she's just there. I'm not really trying to poke holes in Brotherhood because, like I said, I know it's a great show and I know it's better. But just because it's better doesn't mean it did everything right or everything as good as the original. I love how the homunculi are handled much better than the original one, except for their, who was he? Not Wrath, Pride. Except for their Pride. So the homunculus just being different, and the reasons that they're here being different, and Scar's brother bringing the homunculus back being different, I really felt like it took a lot of agency away from some of the side characters. But that's not to say that I didn't like Brotherhoods. I just like the originals better. And the second biggest thing, or maybe even the biggest thing that I saw that was pretty different, is the actual tone. Now, I've talked about Fullmetal Alchemist on this channel very briefly during my shonen tier list, and that actually got a response from someone. And he messaged me or talked to me about it privately, about why I had Brotherhood on the shonen tier list, but not the original Fullmetal Alchemist. He thought it was weird. And I get that, and it's a really valid question. And it's, like I said, the tone. I mean, the entire tone of this show is just not the same. It's not a shonen. I mean, do you guys remember the time that Winry's Rockbell's parents were shot by Roy Mustang, who then subsequently tried to take his own life by shooting himself in the face, only by Dr. Marco to tell him to kind of get over it? That's not really a shonen aspect where it lets you linger with those feelings for so long. For the same amount of time almost every time throughout the entire series. These two shows are just so tonally different. One of the biggest examples I can give you is when Ed gets kidnapped by Barry the Chopper. Like, this didn't happen in Brotherhood, so if you haven't seen the original, you're not going to know, but I'll show some images here. But in the original one, Winry gets kidnapped by Barry the Chopper, and Ed goes to rescue her, and then Barry, I can't remember if he cuts off one of his limbs or gets disconnected. I think he knocks him out and then disconnects his limbs. And that scene, I knew what was going to happen. I knew Ed was going to be fine. You could see the terror in his eyes and just how scared Ed was. And that's not really a unique moment. This show really lets its emotions sit in with you. And I'm not just talking about a character death. I'm not just talking about Hughes. Every main shonen has that one death that they will not stop talking about or really sits with them. Whether it's Naruto with Jiraiya or One Piece with Ace or something like that. Fullmetal Alchemist had it with Hughes, but they let you sit in and feel the emotions that Ed and Al feel in the original one a lot longer. They're just episodes where nothing's happening, where they're just trying to figure out what happened and are just depressed the entire time about it. The difference you can tell from a shonen is usually they'll get over their feelings about 10 seconds, some crappy motivational speech, dramatic music will play, and then they'll never really revisit the situation again. I mean, what I'm saying is obviously subjective, but I don't feel like the original one is a shonen. I feel like Brotherhood is a shonen because of the tone it shows. But I really don't feel that uplifting moment all the time in the original one. So that's the real main difference when it comes to the tone. I mean, the emotions just really sit with you. And what also doesn't help or does help, depending on how you want to phrase it, is the music. The music in the original one, I like a lot more. Just listen to this.
その命を使って実験を重ねて手に入れた賢者の石。
This is ominous, it's creepy, it's amazing, I love it. Brotherhood has good music. I like it. It's all uplifting. But for me, a shonen, I've said this before, and I think it was my Kimetsu no Yaiba Demon Slayer video, that the music really sets the tone of the anime for me. And I kind of feel the same way about Brotherhood as I did as Kimetsu no Yaiba's music. It's good, and it's really enjoyable, and it fits the tone, but it's not super memorable. I remember all of Fullmetal Alchemist original one, all their music, back when I originally saw it back in like 2005. I still remember all of it. It's impactful. It lingers with you the same way the feelings linger with the protagonists. It's a very powerful soundtrack, and I think that really helps. And I really think it kind of makes the fact that this isn't a shonen stand out even more. But then the final thing that I would say that's really sets it apart is, like I said, this story goes bonkers. And I'm not going to talk about every single change. Like I said, I'm not going to do that. It'd be way too long of a video if I talked about all the changes, because I just wanted this to be like a quick 10-15 minute video. But the ending goes so crazy. It's not even in the realm of the same show. And I don't want to spoil it, because I feel at this point more of the newer anime fans have probably seen Brotherhood and not the original. So if you are interested in watching the original, I absolutely say check it out, because it's so weird and so creative, but yet so stupid, but you can't stop watching it. I kind of love it. I kind of actually miss it. But the other thing is, the fight scenes in both of these shows are very different. But I will say, I do think Fullmetal Alchemist has overall better fight scenes, and honestly just more, which is kind of why I still subscribe to, I think that's a shonen, this one isn't. But the fight with Ed versus Greed, I just wanted to say, I love that fight. That's my favorite fight in the whole series across both the shows. I think it's done much better, and I think the stakes are higher. I liked Ed figuring it out as he was getting his ass kicked. And he did that in the original too, or Brotherhood as well, but this one just felt more dramatic. And at that point, Greed was kind of the main bad guy at that point, so he wasn't this villain that kind of got tossed in there like 2 episodes before. And as I'm closing up here, the point of this video wasn't really to bash on one series over another, or to say that one was so much better than the other. I love both of them. I give one of them a 9, and I give Brotherhood a 10. Brotherhood is still a fantastic show. I just feel that the original gets this kind of hate or stigma about it, that I think that a lot of older anime fans forget just how impactful and powerful that show really was. I really love the original, and I really hope that a lot of people still do out there. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts on what I'm saying. Let me know if you guys feel the same. Let me know if you guys think my points are valid about it being a shonen or not, and let me know if you still hold the original to that high standard that we all definitely used to.